Here in login, you must type your username and password first before you log in. I'm logging in to admin account. As you can see, we are in the JTable tab. You see an add account which is creating a new account. You must fill your information such as first name, middle name, last name, username, password, college department, and course. So I'm trying to create an account. You can see that the account created is already in the JTable tab. And next is edit account. You can see my account. I edit name into Demar and see the difference. And the next is delete account. So you must choose your account that will be deleted. Then and next I'm logging into user's account. So I'm logging that I created account earlier. Login. Login successfully. As you can see here, we are at the user's account. You can see your informations. You can change your password.
Good day, sir. I'm Louis Andre Valencia from ITC, and this is our final project. To log in as an admin, this is the preview when logging as an admin, where you can enter the needed credentials, which is the user and password admin. Once we successfully log in, larger frame will appear, which contains the common tasks of a library administrator. I use tab pane so it will lessen the number of chart frames needed in this program. The admin pane consists of 4 panels and 1 button for logout. The button for logout is that. So as you continue, the first panel for managing the student records, which is the accounts. The second one is the request management. The third is category, and the fourth one is manage books. The first one is the accounts. You can add an account if you click this button. You can fill the needed credential for the needed fields here. Once you successfully fill the fields, you can click the add button and it will add directly here in the table. You can also edit an account or delete an account if you push these buttons, the edit account and the delete account. In the request management, you can see there are 4 tabs here: the borrow pending, return pending, Also accept and decline. If you click this button to accept one, and decline one, same goes in the return pending and decline sanction, and the penalties was only one button is the A1. In the category, you can see the different category of the books here. Same as in the accounts, you can add a category of books if you click the add button. You can fill any type of category, for example English. After you fill that, just click the add button and it's successfully add the categories. You can also edit. So once you successfully fill this area, you click the update button, automatically change the row or the set you selected. You can also delete. Click arrow and click the delete button. Click this to successfully delete. Managing books. So you can see there are 4 buttons. And search. This is the search. So you can easily search the borrowed books. These are the different categories of books. The picture. You can also add fill the needed fields. Once you successfully fill up the fields, you can click the add button. Same in the edit. Select arrow if you want to edit. Once you successfully edit this, you can click the update. Same as in the delete. Select arrow that you want to delete, then click the delete button. Review status, you can view the available books in the damage status. That's all for the admin.
Hello, my name is John Bill Ayarawa, and today I will show you our group's project, our project user login interface. Now let's go ahead and type my dummy account, or the dummy data account that I added beforehand. Here, 1, 2, 3, there. Here in the user mode, we can see the user's account on the My tab and on the My Account tab menu. Here we can see the ID, first name, middle name, last name, college, program of the registered user, of the login user. Also here we can see the change password, old password, new password, and password. This allows the users to change their password freely. However, every time the users login, change password, they immediately booted out from the user's interface, and therefore must log in again. Now let's try to log in again with a new password. Here I added a password which is 100. There. Now let's check for the book. Now let's check for the book tab menu. Now here the users are free to add books to their cart or borrow books. Here now let's try to borrow books. Also, as you can see, this combo box also can be acted as a filter device for the status. This prevents the damaged status from ever from putting in here again. Now let's try putting my cart. Here, only 3 books can be borrowed per pending request. Now I'll try to add one more to demonstrate you how. Now I'll just to simply add these books in the and the lastly is we can add more than 3 books. Now here, this is the pending request. As you can see that we can see the name. Well, as you can see that this is the interface that we talk about. Now, only admin users can either accept this or not. Now, let's try to do admin, shall we? Here we can the users are borrowed pending. Are on borrowed pending. Only 3 books can be allowed to per pending. Now let's try to add accept their request. Also, if we decline one request, of the users, it will just immediately close off or deleted. Now let's go ahead and go back to our user interface to see what's currently happening on there. Actually this was under there. Now we see this here in the books to return. We can see it here. Also, one thing to note that the borrow to date of user is internally connected. Now let's try to return. I'll lag out. Go for the admin again. Here, actually, we now return the book. Now here, in the return pending. One thing to note that if the due date is actually past date of the date of return, this the accept button will show that the book is the book return is past due date. Therefore, they can accept and therefore must decline. This would put the users into penalties. Now let's try to put them in the penalties. Just for example, be harsh and try to accept this one. Now here, as we can see that in the penalties, we can see that here that the users that penalized. Their penalties can be in 10 every time the book is is past due date, and it can increase per day after the due date is not done. If the due date is continued to persist and have it return the books. Now let's try to pay. There in the transaction list, we can see this with the borrowed list, the return, the returned, paid, borrowed, also borrowed. Now let's go for a log out and continue for the name John. Again. Here, there. Now let's check the view. Now here in the transaction history. Here, this is the John's transaction history. Apparently, the borrowed, returned, paid. Also, one thing to note that we aren't able to added the 3 books only used per users, and also we haven't added any way of calculating the penalties over time. So therefore, I'm sorry about this. Also, in this regard, that my cart is disabled, the users must first add to cart in order for it to be visible. This is to prevent any kind of unwanted filters. As you can see, because the John Roblox though is one acting like a filter for the users, and also these available books. Now that's our program, and thanks thanks for listening our presentation, and